Endurance Junkie Podcast, episode 97. Junkies, what's up? Thanks for joining me on a new episode of the Endurance Junkie Podcast, the show where I will be interviewing some of the fastest, smartest, and most inspiring people active in the endurance world today. Now, if you like these little interviews and don't want to miss any future ones, just head over to iTunes or Stitcher and simply subscribe to the show. We're also available on Spotify, so if that's your preferred medium, just search for Endurance Junkie Podcast in the search bar and you will find me, no problem. Right, on today's show we have Angela Naeth, and Angela is a Canadian triathlete who has raced professionally since 2009. She is known for her power on the bike and has multiple 70.3 titles to her name, as well as 2 full Ironman distance titles. Now, we didn't see much of Angela in 2016 and the beginning of last year because she was having issues with a foot injury. But with solid performances at 70.3 Miami and 70.3 Bahrain, it looks like she is back in business. In her quest to give back to the sport that she loves so much, she also created iracelakeagirl.com, a social community that gives her the opportunity to support women in the sport of triathlon. So hi Angela, thanks for coming on the show. Now, for those of us who don't know you, can you start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your sporting background growing up and how you ended up in triathlon?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. I've been a triathlete for, I think almost a decade now, which makes me quite old. Although I don't think I'm that old. I started, when I started the sport, I was a year out of college. I was a track athlete and just wanted to stay active. I saw my first triathlon when I was 10 and I was always intrigued, but coming from northern BC, we didn't really have any opportunities really for triathlons. We had one in town, but it was once a year, and the one time I wanted to do it, I was getting my wisdom teeth taken out, so I just waited another full year to even jump into triathlon. But I went to a race a year after, like I said, after I graduated with a master's in physical therapy, and I was working full time, and I absolutely fell in love with the sport after that race. And it was a pool swim, it was a trail run, and it was just, I had no idea what I was doing, but had a blast. And so then just started venturing into different triathlon camps that were being held all over my province, which is British Columbia. And then from there, I found a camp in California because I thought I needed to get out of the snow. And so I met a coach during that time, and he kind of helped solidify the fact that maybe I could turn pro. And so we focused more on the longer distances, which were halves at the time. And I did my first half that following year and was able to get my pro card pretty quickly. And kind of from there, just started to race. I've had a few ups and downs, but definitely it's been awesome. It's been a great experience.
Yeah. So you were pretty competitive then from the first couple of races that you did?
Yeah. I ended up winning the first race, which was really exciting. And so from there, I just really, if you win a race, you get pretty excited about the sport that you're going into. But it really was a good opportunity for me to get back to being active again.
Yeah. So did you do that on really specific triathlon training, or was that just a talent?
No, it was just me swimming, biking, and running, and trying to put it all together at the time. So.
And you had an extra year to prepare yourself, so you had 2 years of solid training.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Kind of like that. I don't know if you would call it solid training. You would call it just doing whatever.
Consistent training.
I think I could do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
After that first race, you said you fall in love with the sport, but there's a difference from liking the sport and falling in love with it and doing it as a hobby, and then actually pursuing it as a career. What made you do that?
I guess I'm just like an all or nothing kind of thought process, and so I've always wanted to achieve something big in sports ever since I was a kid. And triathlon, I just fell in love with the culture and the community, and the coach that I worked with at the time, he said, you do have the talent to go pro, and to do that, you may need to look at quitting your job. And, at the time I didn't really have any money and stuff, but I decided to do that. And so I did leave Canada and ventured down south for a while, and basically lived in very meager conditions to kind of get things through. But it definitely solidified the path that I was going on. It wasn't a path of least resistance, that's for sure.
Okay. That was just with Junkie, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's the first time I came across your name. I was following his blog at the time. I was still training and racing myself at the time, and was a really fan of his blog.
He writes really well.
Yeah, he writes really well. It's such a shame he fell off the grid and the blog stopped.
Yeah.
And there's time for everything in life.
Definitely.
Yeah, but we've been talking about this off air before the interview. We've been in contact for a couple of months, and now trying to get this chat organized. And the first time I contacted you, I think you had just done a podcast with Kristian Manietta on his Fat Black podcast. And you were really open there about your career and the ups and downs that you've gone through in that time. Have you had any feedback on that interview?
I've had a ton of feedback, actually. Absolutely. Everyone, I think I got a few from my team. I Race Like a Girl, and also just fellow friends in the community and stuff. They absolutely loved it. Not so many people, I guess, are that open. And so they really just enjoyed the process of who I am today, like the struggles I had, the achievements I had, and trying to put it all together, and just being open about it. So it was awesome.
Was that like one of the first times that you were really that open in an interview? Or?
I think I'm just getting more comfortable doing them, I guess. Yeah. I've always been pretty open. It's just sometimes the direction of the conversations don't always go to where they could be, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so when I spoke with Kristian, we just had a really good rapport, and I was able to just talk. And so I had no idea that conversation was going to go that way. But it was just great chatting with him. And so it just kind of happened.
Okay, cool. Well, we're not going to recreate that interview here. So I'm definitely going to put the link up on the show notes page to the podcast. And I definitely invite people to have a listen, because it's a really great chat. But I want to focus a bit more on these last 2 years, maybe a year and a half. You've been battling a pretty serious foot injury. What exactly happened there, and how come it took you so long to get back?
Unfortunately, it was a struggle. So I had some pain just a little bit prior to Kona in 2015, and I didn't know what it was. I got an MRI. It came back clear. Everything was fine. And so I went and did the race. But by the time I got off the bike, my foot was blown up. I couldn't walk. So I wasn't able to finish. Went back to the doctors, looked at MRIs again. I had 2 separate doctors on the island look at them, and they just couldn't find anything that was wrong. They just thought it was just like some inflammation and stuff. And so I went away with a month in just like some hard-soled shoes, and it just wasn't getting any better. So my manager at the time said, maybe you need to go to a different doctor. And so he hooked me up with a doctor in California, and I went there, and we did some special CT scans and stuff, and we found out my second metatarsal at the base was broken. And it was just misdiagnosed. And so then we put myself in a boot, and it took forever to heal, and it didn't necessarily heal. So it took, I think, 3 months in that. And then I was still having some big toe pain. So I was in Florida at the time and saw a surgeon there, and he suggested we clear out the big toe because that's where the culprit is. And so I did that. So I had a surgery then. That got infected, went to the hospital, got hospitalized for a week. So then I started training again with orthotics just to kind of stabilize my foot, but it never really was normal. But I was able to push through, and I was able to win Los Cabos and gear up for Ironman Arizona, and I was doing really great. Everything was solid. Coming out of the swim in Arizona, I felt a pop in my foot as I was just running up the ramp, and so I just felt I broke it again. That's what it felt like. And so I pushed through the bike, and I started running the first mile, and I just couldn't run again. And so no one really believed that it was like, they just thought it was me mental. But I can pretty much push through a lot of things, but not a broken bone. So I went to the hospital that night and got x-rays, came back clear. my boyfriend during this time, he had a really good friend that was an a podiatrist. And so I came to Boston, and he said, you should really just go see him. He's a fellow triathlete. He really knows his stuff. And so I went to him, and we got some more scans, and he said, and he found the broken bone again. And he said, really, it probably never really fully healed. It was probably only 75% healed the whole time. You were very careful, and that's why it popped in Arizona. So he said, really, the only time it's going to get back together is to have surgery. So I went for surgery last December. I guess not last December, but the December before, and got plates and a couple screws. And then, it's a foot, so it takes a long, long time to heal to get back to normal. And so I was lucky enough that kind of stabilized things, and things are great now. But it did take, a little bit of time to heal up for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you're 100% injury free now?
Yes. Yep. And it's been going awesome. So.
Okay. And did you find out why it broke in the first place? Was it just bad luck or stress?
No. What I think it probably was is I did have some stuff in my big toe joint that was caused like a little bit of arthritis. Mm-hmm. So I was probably compensating my gait a little bit during the last 6 weeks of training toward the big race in 2015, and because I just started getting pain in the big toe, and so I believe the compensation for that was probably the culprit in the end. So,
okay.
Yeah, but now, since we cleared out the big toe and everything's fine, everything's very, very solid. So,
and you're training like you used to before, or did that change the way that you train?
It didn't change the way that we trained. We definitely still progress the same we are. Obviously, we're still on a path toward the long distance races and stuff. But what it did do is it helped allow me to be more communicatable to my. I think I said that wrong. I communicate a lot more with my coach. I typically did before, but I think I would push through a lot of little aches and pains and stuff, which I don't necessarily do anymore. And plus, my boyfriend, he's a triathlon coach, and he also does triathlons. And so just having someone within the relationship that I can talk to and stuff is really, really helpful.
Okay. So 18 months is a pretty long time to battle that injury. So what kept you going all that time, and what kept you motivated? And were there moments where you thought it's all over?
Yeah. There were definitely moments, but you always have hope, and I felt I have yet to race my best race. And so that's the key motivation is, I know I can do better than I have in previous years. And so I did get to race within those 18 months. So that was obviously a key help in that. And I had some pretty good results as well. But still, there were times, a lot of times actually that, you question, well, what's next? I don't know if I can do this or it'll ever heal properly, because I had so many misdiagnoses and like paths that people thought that I should have been on, and so it was quite frustrating too at the end. But and I had some emotional instability with a divorce that I was going through, and it all plays a role. And I moved, and so there was just a lot of factors that played into the fact that that had me questioning, is this ever going to heal?
And is it now still in the back of your mind sometime, or is it completely gone?
Sometimes by all means, it's definitely, I think as an athlete, if you have an injury, a previous injury, you're always going to have some type of subconscious thought on it, and then obviously it comes to your conscious thought, but it definitely, if I have a little ache or pain here and there, my mind jumps to the thought process that it could be worse than it is. But I think that's also a good thing too, because it makes you take a little step back and take your time at things. It's last year my words were patience with process, and that still sticks with me because it's definitely a process for everything that you do, and you definitely need patience.
Okay. Now you finished the year off with 2 solid races, I think. Second place at 70.3 Miami, 5th place in Bahrain. Are those results that you're happy with and that give you confidence for 2018?
Yeah, and I also did Los Cabos, so I won that one as well. So that was good. So I did 3 halves in I think 6 weeks or something, or 7 weeks. So it was quite a bit of halves, but I really wanted to see where I was at and just build fitness along the way. So I'm definitely happy for sure. It was a good little a good little jump back into things. We took a little bit of a break just to kind of reset again for this following year, because we really want to have a really solid year this year and race throughout the season. So I'm stoked, actually.
Yeah. Have you made up your plan for 2018 yet?
Kind of, not necessarily. We're still very, very early. It's only January, and so I have some tentative races on the schedule, some halves and fulls, of course, and kind of just, you have to see, because we're still on the point system and we're still looking at races, and so it's just a matter of, when my coach and I think that I'll be pretty fit, or, this race will be a progression to the next. And so we kind of have an open schedule right now.
Yeah, okay. So Kona could be on the horizon for you?
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, good luck with that, and we'll keep an eye on your progress and your results. We see the lifestyle of an elite athlete as quite something different from us normal folks, and you guys make it sound really, really cool as well on your Instagrams and your Twitters and stuff like that. What's it really like to be the elite, and what sacrifices do you feel you have to make to live the life that you do?
It's funny you say all that, because I think a lot of high-level age groupers make a lot more sacrifices than we do. I have the luxury sometimes to take time to sleep in. I don't have kids. I don't have a job where I need to be there at 7:30 in the morning. I work from home. I obviously do some side stuff and everything, but I think the sacrifices that a lot of top-level age groups do, or even athletes that have family and stuff, that it's so much more than what we do. But in terms of training, definitely, obviously we have the ability to do a bit more training because of the hours if we're doing it full time. So I wouldn't say it's more of I don't even think of it as a sacrifice. It's my way of life. That's my job. It's what I love. It's my passion. So it's definitely not a sacrifice. It's what I love. So I don't even think of it as a sacrifice.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's correct. I mean, these guys, these elite amateurs, it's unbelievable how some of them, they work full times, and then they're able to train 25, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
But the thing is, of course, they don't race for the paycheck. So if they have a bad race, it's difficult. I guess it can be very frustrating for them. They put in so much effort. Whilst you guys, maybe if you have a bad day, you can call it quits and say, okay, we'll save some energy for the next race.
Well, somewhat. It's you definitely wanna do well at races, because that's you build your race season and your schedule and your training towards specific races, and so when those races don't necessarily go as well, it's not that we get always paid to do these races or anything. It's definitely a hardship when that happens, and it's frustrating for sure.
Yeah, okay. You talked about those side things that you do. One of the things is that community that you started, I Race Like a Girl. Can you talk a bit about that? What's the philosophy behind it?
Yeah, it started a couple years ago. When I was starting the sport, I used to go to homestays a lot, and I met a lot of people throughout the country and the world, and it just made me realize how small this community is, but yet it's such a struggle sometimes to find a community, and especially for women in sport. And so when I was growing up and I was just starting triathlon, I would have loved to talk with a pro triathlete at a time and just kind of pick their brains and learn and have the ability to talk to other triathletes in a community. And obviously things have transformed with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything else, where people are more connected. So I wanted to take that whole way of life that we have and create a community in my sport, in what I love to do. And so that's kind of how it started. We have an online forum and online website. We're connected very, very well. We have regional directors. And so basically we have a group of 85 women right now. I think actually it's a little bit higher than that. where everyone is connected with everyone. They can contact me at any time. I try to help them out as best I can. We have training plans that are set online. We have individual forums. I coach a few athletes that are also on the team and elsewhere. And we're just really about bringing people together and racing together and having a great time. So we have a few races that we do, like the Boston Triathlon is one of our marquee events that I'm trying to get as many I Race Like a Girl members there so we can really have a kickoff. And then for me, I really try to connect the women that are going to specific races together so that they have a community and a group to train with. And it just brings a global triathlon community, very, very controlled and centered, and you're able to connect with everyone. But so some of these women that are on the team have inspired me more than I can imagine. We have one gal, she's 72, and she's just doing amazing in triathlon, and it's just so neat to see. And then we have people that are under 18, and so the variety is great because that's what I felt when I started triathlon is, you can be anybody and do this sport and really have fun with it. And it's a way of life. And so that's something I just really wanted to pursue and to help others find that way and, have the ability to encourage and talk to them and, answer any questions. Because, like I said, I've been in the sport for quite some time, and I feel like I can provide some feedback to people that are just getting into the sport, that want to learn more. It's been fun.
Yeah, okay, no, it's pretty cool, and it's also pretty nice that you get inspiration from them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And is it still open for registration, or did you?
Yeah, right now it's still open. It'll probably close for a little bit because we're going to change things up a little bit. But it's definitely open right now. So if there's anyone that's interested, it's iracelakeagirl.com.
Okay, cool. I'll put that link up on the show notes page.
Thank you.
Yeah, what do you see as your biggest achievement in your career so far, and what do you see as your biggest disappointment?
That's a good question. I think my biggest achievement thus far has been, I've had some pretty solid results in Ironman, but I feel like I went under 9 hours a few times. Well, just twice. But I had some great races, and I feel like Ironman Texas was a really solid result for me. But I think the biggest one was just coming back from this injury, definitely, and being strong about it and really pursuing forward. My biggest struggle, not so much the injury and stuff, although it does play a role, but I mean, that's kind of somewhat out of my control, but not really. But I think it's the struggle of the last couple of years, trying to find out who I was and what I stand for. And so the struggle was just trying to find that and not necessarily have it just be one thing or a relationship or being kind of not assertive enough or confident enough within who I was. And so I guess it's not necessarily a disappointment, but it's something that I struggled with for a while. And now that I feel like I've come full circle and really have owned who I am and love who I am, and really love what I'm doing, I feel like a new person almost that's just starting, basically.
Yeah, so you say you've gone full circle. Does that mean that you wouldn't have done things any other way, any differently?
I never think that way because I feel like if you think always, in regret and stuff, it doesn't help you. It doesn't even, there's no purpose to it, you just have to keep moving forward. Like, yes, you can look back and reflect on things, but I did what I thought was the best case scenario at the time. And so, there's no regrets by any means. It's just how I'm deciding to move forward from this day, every day, of how I think and do stuff.
Yeah, okay. So how do you define success then, and how do you measure up to your own definition?
Gee, that's a deep question. I think the biggest thing is if I keep questioning myself, like, what did I do well today? What worked for me? What can I do better? What can I improve on? And just always have those questions in my mind every morning and night. And, that's me being the best human being I can be. If I keep continually question, what can I do better? What can I improve on? And what worked well? That's definitely success for me. Doing that every day is just a consistent moving forward and being a very high performance person in your life. And it's not only in sport, but just in your entire life.
Yeah. Okay. So what would constitute a perfect day for you out there training?
Perfect day. Oh, training. I guess just executing the workouts. Yeah. Just executing the workouts that I have set that I feel I can achieve. So some days we have some really long days, and being able to execute those days really are a confidence booster for me.
Yeah. Okay. And something just to top it off to make it even better.
Even better.
Like a nice little treat or something.
Oh yeah, I love chocolate.
Chocolate. Right.
I pretty much treat myself to chocolate every day. I think it's a necessity. Definitely.
Okay, cool stuff.
So, yeah.
So you've been in the sport for quite a while. You've had some great races, some great results. But what's left for you that you want to accomplish? Is Kona the ultimate dream for you, or is it something else?
Yeah, Kona's always been an ultimate dream, and it still is, definitely. Along with that is just having my best race. I feel I have not had that yet. I've only done, I think, 4 or 5 Ironmans, and I feel that I have more to put on, more to get out of myself. I definitely do. And so that's what excites me. That's what motivates me. To achieve that, hopefully will be soon.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your time, Angela. How can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Yeah, they can go on iracelikeagirl.com. Also, my website, AngelaNaeth.com. There's an inquiry website there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Okay. I'm on all of them. So, yeah, they can feel free to reach out at any time.
Okay. I'll put those links up on the show notes page. Feel free to give some love to your sponsors and partners.
Yeah, I've had some great sponsors along the way, and they've all been really supportive and awesome. I've been with Red Bull for, I think, almost 5 years now, and they've just been phenomenal. I absolutely love them. They push me to the limits, both as a physical person and also on the mental sides of things. Shimano has been with me almost my entire career, and I can't thank them enough. They've just been a phenomenal company to work for. I'm just starting to work with Topo Athletic, which is a running shoe, which actually is a pretty neat story. They were the shoes that my podiatrist recommended to me, and we tested a ton of different shoes. We tried different colors. I'm joking at that, but Topo was the one that was like, wow, that really changes your form and gait and makes you in a position of really solid running. And so I've been running in those shoes for the last 8 months. And so I just signed with them, and I'm super excited about that. I've been with Refreshing Q Company. It's a vitamin company that, have really supported me along the last couple of years, and Ashworth Awards. They make all the amazing medals out there, and they really want to inspire and support and encourage other athletes. And so they have teams, and they also have a few athletes under their belt, and I'm lucky enough to be one of them. And then, of course, my supporters, Scott Bikes, Roca, Cyclone Cases, they've all really, really helped me along the ways, and also First Endurance. So, yeah, I'm pretty lucky and extremely grateful for all the support that I've had over the years.
And they've all stuck to you with you during the injury?
Yeah, there's been some ups and downs with companies and stuff, even within the sport. But all the companies I just laid out, they've just been absolutely phenomenal to work with, and they support me, and I just can't thank them enough. Definitely.
Right, cool. I'll put the links up on the show notes page as well, so people can find them.
Cool.
Anything else you want to plug?
No, I don't think so. No, I think I really appreciate this. Definitely, it's a great opportunity always to get on podcasts, and so I guess I'll plug you.
Thanks for that. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Just one final one to finish it off.
Yes.
Yeah, if you could sit on a bench in a nice park and chat for an hour with someone from the past or the present, who would it be?
Wow. Who would it be? I would like to know from my great grandmother, actually. You know, how my parents lived and how their parents lived really kind of starts the process and the path of who you are. And so just to learn a little bit about my history in that would be very intriguing to me.
Yeah. You a big family person?
Yeah, definitely close to my family, and I do miss them. They're up in Canada, and for the last few years I've been going up every Christmas, and so I'm definitely going to continue that process.
Yeah. Thank God for Skype as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for your time, Angela. It's
right.
been fun. Much appreciated.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Hi, Junkies. Thanks for listening to this episode with Angela and Naeth. Now, if you have suggestions for possible future guests, just shoot me an email at peter@junkiepodcast.com, and I'll see what I can do, and I'll try to make it happen. Now, I would also like to take the opportunity to thank everyone who has left a rating and a review on iTunes or Stitcher. It's much appreciated. And if you haven't done so yet, please consider leaving me one and help me grow the show even further. Alright, thanks again for listening, and I hope you'll join me next time for my chat with US marathon legend Dina Castor. Cheers, guys.